America's most iconic destinations are empty. Hotels are closing, tourism jobs are disappearing, and cities built on international visitors now face economic collapse. What's behind this stunning transformation? A wave of U.S. policies introduced during the Trump administration that changed how the world views America as a travel destination. Subscribe to Global Lens for more deep dive reports into the global consequences of political change. Chapter 1: The Vanishing Crowds. From Times Square to the Las Vegas Strip, once thriving tourist hubs have turned eerily quiet. Visitor numbers plummeted as foreign travelers began canceling trips to the U.S. in record numbers. At the heart of this collapse lies a mix of immigration crackdowns, visa restrictions, and diplomatic rifts. By the end of 2019, international arrivals had dropped significantly, reversing years of steady growth. Chapter 2: Policies that closed the doors. The Trump administration implemented several travel-related policies that sent a chilling message to the rest of the world. The most impactful included the travel bans targeting Muslim-majority nations, suspension of H-1B visa programs, and strict new screening requirements for tourist and student visas. These measures were framed as efforts to enhance national security, but sparked fear and frustration among travelers. For many, the American dream vacation quickly became a bureaucratic nightmare. Chapter 3: Las Vegas loses its lifeblood. Las Vegas, long dependent on international high rollers and global conventions, was hit especially hard. Wealthy gamblers from Asia, particularly China, who once packed VIP rooms and casino floors, disappeared. With trade tensions rising and retaliatory travel advisories issued by Beijing, casino revenues fell sharply. Macau, often called the Vegas of China, surged ahead, capturing a majority of the world's elite gamblers. Vegas, once a global entertainment capital, found itself offering steep discounts and even free flights to fill empty hotel rooms. Chapter 4: Miami's Latin American Retreat. Miami's economy has long been intertwined with Latin American tourism, but new policies targeting Cuba, Venezuela, and the broader immigration rhetoric damaged those relationships. Tourists from Brazil, Colombia, and other key markets shifted their attention to Spain and other destinations where they felt more welcome. Cruise lines began rerouting ships away from U.S. ports, and the city saw a sharp drop in tourism revenue. For a city that once thrived on cultural exchange and cross-border traffic, the shift was devastating. Chapter 5: The Collapse of Orlando's Tourism Ecosystem. Orlando, home to Disney World and Universal Studios, relies on families from across the globe. As international families grew increasingly concerned about safety and the risk of border detentions, attendance plummeted. Disney saw a reported 40% drop in foreign visitors, while Universal Studios laid off more than 1,500 employees. Entire sections of theme parks that once had hours-long wait times now sat empty. The loss rippled through the local economy, impacting not just the theme parks but restaurants, shops, and thousands of hospitality workers. Chapter 6: Fear overrides the American brand. America was once marketed as the land of freedom and fun, a top destination on every traveler's bucket list. But fear took over that narrative. Stories of families separated at the border, travelers detained for hours, and students deported upon arrival flooded international media. Some embassies began issuing informal warnings. Even travelers from visa waiver countries began second-guessing their plans. The emotional cost of uncertainty, alongside the rising financial burden of longer visa processes, made other countries look increasingly attractive. Chapter 7: The Travel Ban's Ripple Effects. The travel ban didn't just affect people from the listed countries. It created a perception that America was closing itself off to the world. Would-be tourists from Europe, Asia, and Africa began to wonder if they might be turned away too. The result was a broad chilling effect. Conferences lost international participants. Family vacations were called off. The global tourism market redirected its focus toward destinations perceived as safer and more welcoming. Chapter 8: The Visa Gauntlet. Under the Trump administration, the U.S. visa application process became longer, more invasive, and more unpredictable. Applicants were often denied without explanation. Wait times extended for months, even for simple tourist visits. For many, it no longer felt worth the trouble. Countries like Canada and those in the European Union offered easier, faster alternatives. The message was clear: if you want tourism dollars, make entry easier, not harder. Chapter 9: Economic Consequences. Beyond the airport. Tourism doesn't just affect hotels and flights. It's a cornerstone of local economies. In New York City alone, international tourists once generated over $45 billion in spending annually. By 2019, international visits were sharply down and the impact was visible. Empty museums, struggling restaurants, and vacant tour buses. Cities like San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Chicago also reported declines in international arrivals, with local business owners raising alarm. Chapter 10. International alternatives rise. As travelers looked elsewhere, international competitors stepped in. Paris, Tokyo, Dubai, and even Seoul began aggressively promoting themselves as safe, modern, and inclusive destinations. These cities offered simplified entry policies, direct flight incentives, and welcoming marketing campaigns. Countries began partnering with airlines and social media influencers to reposition themselves. The US, by contrast, was often in the news for confrontational immigration tactics and tightening borders. The brand damage went beyond tourism. It raised questions about America's role as a global leader. Chapter 11. Chinese tourists disappear. The Chinese market, once the fastest-growing segment of inbound U.S. tourism, saw an unprecedented decline. During Trump's first 2 years, the number of Chinese visitors fell by nearly 20%. These travelers, who are among the highest-spending tourists in the world, redirected their trips to friendlier locations. Entire U.S. tour operators specializing in Chinese clientele saw their businesses collapse. Trade tensions and visa restrictions were cited as top concerns. Chapter 12. South America follows suit. Brazil and India, two nations with emerging middle classes and growing travel aspirations, also saw significant declines in U.S. tourism. In both cases, the cumbersome visa processes and negative media portrayals of U.S. treatment of foreigners played key roles. Travel forums and influencers in these countries began recommending alternative destinations. The shift wasn't just anecdotal. It was backed by a noticeable drop in visa applications and airline bookings. Chapter 13. The Lost Billions. The U.S. travel industry lost billions in revenue due to the drop in international visitors. According to the U.S. Travel Association, the country missed out on nearly $60 billion in foreign traveler spending between 2017 and 2020. Jobs were lost, small businesses shuttered, and the broader economy suffered. What had been a booming sector with steady annual growth was now in crisis. Chapter 14. Hospitality in decline. In cities across America, hotel occupancy dropped to historic lows. Boutique hotels in tourist-heavy districts saw cancellations far outpace new bookings. Layoffs in the service industry surged, and large hospitality chains closed properties or reduced operations. For many workers, particularly in cities with few alternative industries, the blow was devastating. Chapter 15. A media-driven collapse. Global media coverage played a significant role in amplifying the message that America was no longer a safe or friendly destination. Stories of travelers being detained, denied entry, or mistreated went viral. News outlets across Europe, Asia, and South America reported extensively on policy changes, often with strong reactions from readers. The reputational damage from such narratives lingers far longer than any single policy's lifespan. Chapter 16. Cities that never sleep. Now, New York City, once flooded with tourists year-round, reported dramatic declines in foot traffic. At major attractions like the Statue of Liberty and Broadway, theaters reduced performances. Tour companies slashed schedules. The economic backbone of the city's tourism sector was no longer reliable. This pattern repeated in Los Angeles, San Diego, San Francisco, and Washington, D.C. Chapter 17. Rebuilding trust. As the U.S. moves beyond the Trump era, there is an opportunity to restore its image. Easing visa restrictions, launching international outreach campaigns, and emphasizing inclusivity could reverse the trend. Cultural diplomacy and city-to-city partnerships could help. However, rebuilding trust takes time. For many international travelers, memories of being treated with suspicion or hostility at U.S. borders won't fade quickly. Chapter 18. The Convention Crisis. Major conventions that once drew thousands of international attendees to American cities have been canceling or relocating. These events are key drivers of business travel and often lead to secondary spending in hotels, restaurants, and local entertainment. Cities like Chicago, Las Vegas, and Atlanta reported sharp declines in convention revenue, and exhibitors increasingly favor destinations with fewer entry restrictions. Chapter 19. Domestic tourism can't fill the gap. While domestic travel has helped offset losses in some regions, it hasn't been enough. International tourists stay longer and spend more, often on high-value services like guided tours and fine dining. Domestic travelers tend to cut costs, travel shorter distances, and stay fewer nights. The economic multiplier of international tourism simply isn't being matched at home. Chapter 20. America's lost soft power. Tourism is not just an economic driver, it's a form of soft power. Visitors build personal connections, take home cultural experiences, and often become informal ambassadors. With fewer foreigners visiting, the U.S. risks becoming more isolated, culturally misunderstood, and politically disconnected from global sentiment. A decline in tourism has subtle but long-term consequences on global influence. Chapter 21. What recovery looks like. Recovery will require coordinated effort across federal agencies, tourism boards, and local governments. Streamlined visa applications, multilingual outreach, and international tourism campaigns can help reverse the damage. Success depends on rebuilding a reputation for safety, fairness, and hospitality. The global travel market is competitive. Every delay in reopening risks losing travelers to more proactive nations. The decline of American tourism under restrictive policies has had consequences that go far beyond airports. It has reshaped city economies, severed international ties, and damaged a global brand decades in the making. As other countries welcome the world, the U.S. must decide whether it wants to close itself off or re-emerge as a beacon of opportunity and adventure. Subscribe to Global Lens for more reports that decode the global impact of policy, politics, and power.